Being arguably the most beloved character in Marvel's roster of comic book heroes, Spider-Man has long been the star of many video game adaptations. But, as has been well documented, adaptations over the decades have been largely poor. Spider-Man had perhaps been a victim of this less than other superheroes from both DC and Marvel licenses, with the occasional gem, but never had the IP been worked on by as prestigious of a team as Insomniac Games. Insomniac reset all expectations that gamers had for the IP in the video game realm with the launch of 2018's Marvel Spider-Man and the 2020 launch title for the PS5, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Miles Morales was a wonderful complementary addition to the franchise, but fans have been waiting a long time for the newest entry in the larger Spider-Man saga. And finally, with Marvel Spider-Man 2, they get what they've been waiting for. And Insomniac hasn't disappointed. Time has passed since both the conclusion of 2018 Spider-Man and then Miles Morales, and yet tethers to the events of the previous games still exist in Spider-Man 2. There's no messing around in the setup of events, however. Peter Parker is trying to nail down employment, something that's been incredibly hard to do given his moonlighting as the web-swinging wonder, while Miles Morales is himself trying to carve out his own space in the world, whilst also juggling the needs of being a world saver that the city of New York depends upon. These priorities are tested immediately as Sandman launches a devastating attack on the city, one that forces the pair into action. That encounter puts several gears in motion, however, with the menace that is Kraven learning of the superheroed presences found in New York City, leading him to his journey over with his army as he hunts for someone who is worthy of fighting him. As a backdrop to all this, Miles still contends with the anger and pain connected to his fight with Mr. Negative and what was taken from him in that fight. And Peter Parker's best friend, Harry Osborn, has, with the aid of modern science and a mysterious mass known as the symbiote, recovered from a lifelong affliction to be in full health. Peter's relationship with MJ is strained due to financial pressures on both of their ends and a range of professional constraints as well. With all of these pieces assembled, all pulling in different directions, Insomniac has then gone to assemble a breathtaking narrative that contorts in a range of expected and unexpected ways. Plot lines weave in and out of each other, and nobody is safe in a plot line that is decidedly darker and deadlier than those of the previous two titles. The immediate threat of Kraven is apparent, especially as the list of victims grows, while the injection of Venom into the mix drastically reframes the conflict, bringing characters together and pushing others apart in wildly different ways. What shouldn't be overlooked are the side quests. The arcs of these have improved significantly compared to the original game, with even the simplest of plotlines. For example, collecting each Spider-Bot, presenting a fascinating endnote that will be an incredible hook for future games. Others, from those spinning off the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man app, to larger plotlines focusing on how Sandman's initial outburst began, or one about a cultist group called the Flame, are all riveting, and the eyes of some will be best left until post-game, so you can soak them all up in an uninterrupted fashion. They are that good. Of course, if you're going to be playing the role of the sensational Spider-Man, then you're going to want the kinetic action of the game to be of the highest standard. Fortunately, Insomniac mastered the art with the release of the original game. However, both Peter and Miles have a few new tricks added to this new entry to make traversal a breeze, quite literally. As well as all of the web swinging techniques that have long been available to the duo, players can utilise web wings to glide or even catch a breeze, with a few gusty spots being situated between both the core island of New York City, but also neighbouring Queens. Getting from one spot to another has never felt smoother, and despite it still ultimately taking longer than fast travelling around, swinging is, for many, still going to be the preferred mode of transport. As a combat experience, Spider-Man 2 still lifts heavily from Rocksteady's Batman Arkham games that came before it, with the face-to-face action still feeling quite similar, despite numerous more fantastical additions that come with Miles' powers and even Peter's symbiote suit. Leading into the launch of the game, player fears existed that Peter's relative skill set compared to Miles's would mean that he wasn't going to be as appealing of a playable prospect. However, due to Peter having access to the Iron Spider limbs as well as the symbiotic powers of the Black Suit, he has no relative weaknesses, making him just as viable as Miles to players. The skill trees for both heroes are fun to explore and provide meaningful additions to your skill set. However, most enemies can be thwarted with fairly basic combos that are available early in the game. Marvel Spider-Man 2 ticks a lot of boxes, however its launch day technical troubles are of note. Across my 30 plus hours to 100% the game hard crashed on 2 occasions, and there were several other progression breaking glitches too that required multiple checkpoint resets. There were also a number of visual glitches too, with one turning my miles into a tiny cube flying through the sky, and others purely cosmetic that created a looking through flywire effect. While it's easy to see many of these issues being promptly fixed post-launch, they were plentiful enough in this pre-launch period to be of concern. Beyond this, however, the game looks and sounds exceptional. New York City, as well as the newly added Queens, are bustling with life and look incredibly genuine as you saw by. The populace reacts to your crazy antics, while the core cast have been wonderfully realised both visually and through their voice acting. The soundtrack works all elements of the heartstrings, powered by wonderful storytelling and sensational composing. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is exactly what a sequel to the 2018 smash needed to be. Bigger, better, and more badass, Spider-Man 2 throws some of the biggest names in the franchise at players, but ties them all together with a meaningful plot that instantly grabs your interest and pairs it with gameplay that is sublime to engage with. The Spider-Man franchise, across TV, comics, and games, has never been in better hands than it is right now.